One thing that we found is that they know their order. They know when it's their turn. And they go into the man trap, which is so nice, by the way. Now I'm standing here, so that might distract them a little bit, but in they go. Hi, babies. Don't mind the barn, work in progress. Why do you put the leashes on?
So I don't forget. Because I've done it before where I forget let these things open and then they run off after they're done.
What are you doing right now?
So we got the udder wash initially to get rid of any dirt or anything that they've been laying in.
How do you make the udder wash?
We mix 1 cc bleach in
Whatever size that is.
yeah, whatever size that coffee can is.
Could you show me? A Folgers decaf. We are not affiliated with Folgers.
Not sponsored.
And Dawn soap, just like a drop.
Yep, a couple drops of Dawn soap with a small amount of bleach and water. Yep.
What are you doing now?
So, also supposed to take out the first little bit of milk because it can have bacteria in it and stuff from also where they've been laying. Then you strip the first little bit out.
Is that also when you check, it's a way to help check for mastitis?
For the color of it and the difficulty of getting it out, yes.
I'm coming in. So what would make this different than doing one goat at a time? Is it the same process?
It's the same process for a single goat. Just takes twice as long to do one at a time. The only advantage to doing one goat at a time is you can use 1 jar for milk and 1 jar for washout, but not that hard to, when you're all done, transfer all of the milk into a different jar and then just use them both for washout. So the speed increase for us with 7 goats to milk is worth it.
So when you put the, what do you call the things that go on their teats?
So they're called claws.
And like you just put them on? There's nothing you do, you just make sure the teat's in the middle of it?
Yes, I do have, you do have to make sure the teat goes in straight so you can see it come down into the claw. When I was first doing it, you'd find sometimes you'd stick it on there and it would suction on, but then you couldn't see the teat down here because it was rolled over. So then you have to kind of break the seal like you would with like a pop top on a glass bottle. Give it a little bit of air so you can pull it off and try again. And then I noticed, I don't have a problem on any of the other ones, so I think it's the claw itself. But our claw on this side, it doesn't like to grab on its own. So I have to put it up there, and then I have to push this little button on the bottom that causes it to latch, that it's supposed to do by itself. But it must be sticky or something, I'm not really sure. But if it's not grabbing when you've got both of your valves open, then try pushing the button on the bottom and that should cause it to grab.
And by grab, you mean like section, the section should start?
Yeah.
How do you know when to stop?
So I stop when I see the milk stop here. The ones that came on this standard, they kind of make a noise. You probably can't hear it, but they kind of make this
like a snaky kind of noise.
Yeah, like a hissy kind of noise where as the milk goes through, it's passing by something that's got a teeny tiny hole in it to make sure that this thing doesn't have super high vacuum pressure. So when I don't hear that anymore, I know they're pretty much done. So to stop or to reduce the suction, I've got the valve set up that this valve is for this stand and this one is for this stand. So you turn the valve off and that will start to relieve the suction over here. It seems to be dependent on the goat's udder's firmness, whether or not they fall off on their own. So like hers doesn't seem to ever fall off on its own, but one of ours with a smaller udder it will. So sometimes you still have to kind of pull them off with the same thing where you just kind of give it a little bit of air. And then most of the time, I think most of the people that use these will say the same thing. The milk machine won't always get all the milk, so you still have to strip some of it out at the end to make sure that they don't get mastitis. So there's still a couple of squirts left. That's it in that one. And then there's still some milk left in the hose. Turn the valve back on, let it go in there, and then these are the buttons that I was talking about that kind of shoot air through the hose, so you can get a little bit more milk out of the hose that way. And then to finish her up, T-dip.
So you're using that udder wash solution?
The same solution, and just soaking her in that so that if she runs out there straight and lays down in the dirt, there's something there to protect and sanitize to keep stuff from going up inside.
Until they get that cap.
Yep, until they're cap reformed.
So what are you doing now?
So we really like to know how much our goats are producing, even if it's not a lot, just so we can be on top of any health issues that they might have, and if we happen to end up having to assess them in any way, knowing how much milk they produce every day is nice. So we have a analog scale sitting down here that's already set for the weight of these jars, and each goat gets their milk weighed individually, and if we throw it all into a spreadsheet tracker to track them year over year, month over month, or whatever. It takes a couple extra seconds to weigh it. So seems like good.
So does it matter which hose goes into what?
Yes. So it does say on the lid, it says air, and then on top it says milk on these two. So the milk hose obviously is the one that goes on them, and the air hose is this guy that that pulls air in. And you do have to set the pressure on this for when it's on. So there's no goats on it, that's closed and everything. What it seems to be is with one goat, it's at closer to the top of this green section, but with two goats, it's closer to the bottom. I haven't been able to find a spot where it can be in the middle all the time, but
that's what that knob does, it changes that.
Right, this knob changes your vent pressure, and there was this little thing about this yellow tab on top. It's kind of for like shipping, so it flips back like that when you get it to keep this liquid from being able to leak out. But after you've got your milk machine all set, for it to stay accurate, you have to flip that tab back over once you know you're not going to be tipping your machine upside down. We're going to get two more goats.